Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany Lauren Jones. I am the founder of Alignment Recess. For those of you that are new here, this is your space to pause, reset, and return to your power without rushing, performing, or pretending like everything is fine. We have a wonderful, amazing, and beautiful guest today. This is season 2 of Alignment Recess, our very first live episode. And our guest today is also a powerhouse. Her name is Tasha Cooper Ware. She is the founder of HOS Collective. She's a former professional dancer, women's integrative health coach, and a real life wellness mentor to hundreds of women all over the last 2 decades. Her approach to wellness is really built on radical self trust, a return to truth, energy, and alignment in a world that's really telling women to shrink constantly. I think we've all experienced that, to push through or to disconnect. And so her work really centers around the 5 pillars of nutrition, movement, sleep, mindset, and accountability. But what she really teaches is how to stop abandoning yourself and to start living from wholeness. So today we're going to talk about why some quick fixes don't work, how to honor your body in your current season of life, and what it really takes to lead in your home, your work, and your wellness journey. So please join me in welcoming Miss Tasha Cooper Ware. Welcome,
Thank you for
Tasha.
having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. I told Tasha I was very excited that she was willing to be the very first on this series. I hosted women on a series similar to this back in 2019. This is a live example of me taking my own advice and embodying my own power and reigniting these conversations. So thank you, Tasha, for being here. I'm really excited. I introduced you, but I would love it if you introduced yourself in a way that makes you feel good. Is there anything else that you want to add, that you want to tell the people about where you are in life right now and anything about your journey? How did you get here to where you are today?
Thank you for asking that. It's definitely been a very unique journey. Like you said, I started off as a professional dancer. I've been dancing since I was 5 years old, and I am 44 today. And I retired dance at 28. I had to call it quits. I said,
Wow.
so that I could heal my perfectionism and so that I wouldn't take that into the next chapter of my life, I decided I was just going to go full personal training, full wellness. And I had started while I was dancing, but I went full throttle. I,
Right.
like you, worked for corporate, Ocean Corporate for many years, 15 years, and I was unfulfilled. I hit that glass ceiling where, those plaques just weren't hitting like they should. I decided to go independent and try it out to find my own alignment to see I knew who I wanted to help. And I love training. I love helping people figure out what works for them on a regular basis and for the longevity of their life. I have clients for 20 years, like legit 20
Wow.
years, who have vitality in their 70s right now. So I knew that I was creating something that could be shared, and more importantly, shared to your family as well. And that's
Right.
how the Two Less Collective got founded, just to create a new space that no wasn't at a brick and mortar where you can meet me here every week on Tuesday and Thursday, but there's a bigger purpose for
Right.
our community.
Amazing. Amazing. So you're familiar with what it takes to move from being out of alignment into alignment. Before I get into that, I want to ask what's present in your mind, body, and spirit today?
I feel very invigorated today.
I like that
Yes, I
word.
do. It's my new year. I count spring like others as my new year. So I feel
Absolutely.
refreshed with the sun and my plants are coming back. That's part of my alignment is slowing down and seeing them grow. And I'm going to grow some
Yes.
vegetables soon. So today I feel good.
Ooh, I
Yes.
love that. We're so aligned. Every time we speak, we're doing something similar. My mom and I are talking about starting a garden. I've been growing an avocado seed for almost, I think, about 2 months now, and it's finally starting to bloom. Yeah. So, quick tip, I just used it, an avocado that I had eaten. I just put it in a jar of water because I read that, I read, but that means I saw it on TikTok.
Yes.
Um, that you can just put it in water. Yes, and it started sprouting, which is really cool. But
Oh,
I love that. I love that. This is one of my favorite times of year because I think it really reflects the journey that we go on, even spiritually throughout the year. Each season reflects really where we are and where our energy is. And that's part of what I help my clients with. And I know when you're working with your clients too, you're always focused on where you are in your life now, what's
Mhm.
actually happening rather than giving like a generic blueprint to something. You customize and you tailor it based on the season that you're in. And I feel like the spring season really does reflect what happens with us energetically, which is we're blossoming, we're coming back in life, we're being reinvigorated, which is really exciting. You already told us a bit about how you got into wellness and HOS Collective began. But with so many identities, dancer, trainer, coach, and performer, when did you start to feel like your work was more than just physical? Was there a moment that happened for you? I know you spoke about when you left a more structured work life and you felt like the accolades, the awards, and things weren't really rewarding for you. Was that the moment that it became more for you? And if so, can you tell us more about that?
Actually, I found my alignment in helping people a lot earlier. Even before one of my first clients that I worked with, she was an older woman and she did not want to do anything I told her to do. She didn't want to walk on the treadmill. She didn't want to lift her weight. But at the end of our journey, when she finally said, okay, I finished my package, I'm going to move on. She was just thankful that I showed up every week for her. She was
Right.
looking for something different. It was the consistency that brought change, even though she didn't want to lift a weight or stretch or do any of the traditional things. It was just being there for someone who needed another outlet that wasn't necessarily a therapist that fit and showed up every week. So I learned that
Mm,
people need a lot more than just the physical. They need someone to help them get their mindset to do something consistently that they can do to
right.
get life longevity and to look at it and say, okay, that's why, like you said, where I am today. Don't worry about where you were yesterday. Keep showing up today. And I love being an anchor for people to show up for themselves.
Mm.
Before 20 years goes by, you don't realize you've changed someone's life just by showing up for them.
So accountability is really important, or just having accountability, but also in a way, community, I think
Mhm.
is part of what you're saying too. And having someone there that can reflect back to you where you are. And sometimes we just need someone to be present. So what would you recommend for someone who maybe they're in a space where they feel isolated and they don't have that community necessarily? Are there ways, or have you ever had a period of time in your life where you didn't have the community and you didn't really have anyone there to hold you accountable? I know that I've had times in my life that way, and I relied on finding other creators on YouTube, or there were other resources that I used. But I want to speak to that because I feel like there's so many people that are going through major transformations right now. And whether it's true or not, I know for me looking back, I felt alone. I wasn't fully alone, but there can be moments where you feel that way. How do you pull yourself out of that mindset wise? Do you recommend? I know when I started working out again, I just only need one little flicker, even if it's going on a walk, to give me the energy to clear my mind and step back into reality and ground into my body and be like, you're actually not alone. You're just more in your head. What recommendations do you have? Tools, resources, or maybe it's a wellness practice for either yourself or your clients when they've been in a space where they haven't even gotten to the gym yet or they haven't gotten with their trainer. What can they do to take that step to get there?
I feel like in isolation, there's growth. Sometimes, like you said, you feel isolated, but you're not actually alone. And then your mind can be free to think about all the things that really make you whole. I try to coach my clients to look at the big picture of their life today and to see what else are you doing to give you fulfillment. Are you just on the cog? You get up, you go to work, you feed your kids, you feed your husband, you
Right.
go back to bed, and there's no what is left over for you. I love to cook. I love to cook. I love to chop. So when I'm by myself, that's what I do the most because then the people come because they want to commune over the food. I tried, they call it Coop's Kitchen. A lot of my friends, they'll come and just sit and talk to me while I cook. And I like to help my clients find a way to get back to what actually makes them happy and what fulfills them. Maybe it's watercolors, maybe like pottery. There has to be something that is not transactional out in your
Mm.
day that can give you some wholeness. So once I find that, then it's just looking at the time. How much time are they spending isolating on their phone?
I've been there.
Yeah. You'd be really
Yes.
surprised. It makes you more isolated. The dopamine hit is not the same in your brain when you just do it over and over again. So
Right.
that's why in our challenge we have a digital detox every day. What else can you do with those last 2 hours that you're awake? What else can you pray? Can you read? Can you look at flowers and find something in that can be fulfilling, that is a little bit more attached to earth and
Right.
actually in reality, and not what's in
Yeah.
our that's feeding our brain and feeding the algorithm, feeding you that you need to stay on it longer and longer and longer.
Yes. It's like a drug.
It
Yes.
is. And it's a drug and a disease because it's also contagious. Like your kids will catch it. They see you on the phone,
Right.
they're on their phone. And that's
Right.
something you learn. But if they see you gardening, they want to know about flowers and bugs and things as well.
Absolutely. So it's like I think there's a level of discipline that's required. And I heard something this morning and I was like, ooh, it spoke to me because I used to believe that discipline or having discipline only meant you were doing all of the things that were healthy for you. But what I
Mhm.
heard this morning is that you can be disciplined in doing the things that are not healthy for you. So you can be disciplined in not working out. That is your routine. Either way, you're committed to something, you're being disciplined in something.
Mhm.
So that was a really nice mindset shift that I heard about. Okay, you actually are disciplined. You're just not disciplined in the things that maybe are moving you forward or creating the path that you want to get you to your goal, whether it's fitness, whether it's alignment in other areas of your life or business. So I think a big part of it is realizing what you are already committed to. And like you said, making that shift and realizing that it doesn't take a lot to. I think you can make small changes, even when you're trying to realign your life and business. You don't have to burn it all down. I know that I've done that. That's part of my human design. I have the 3-6 profile, which means I do things through trial and error, and I have to touch the fire to see, okay, you say it's hot, but how hot is it? And is your version of hot my version of hot? Let me just touch it and see. And so that's a totally different process. But part of what I work with my clients with as well, we talked about this, is human design and understanding your own unique blueprint, understanding your unique energy and works for you. Because I think where people get caught up too with, if you want to call it a lack of discipline or discipline in the things that aren't really benefiting you, is not understanding how your energy works. And I experienced this as well. I invested $20,000 working with a coach who I never had any business working with. But I say that to say, had I been in touch with myself and my own energy, I would have been able to see that what she was recommending, there wasn't anything wrong with it. It just wasn't for me. So what
Mm,
happened is I spent a year following her path, her idea of success and her methods, and I completely burned out. And it took me 2 years to recover from that. And the
mm,
damage that caused to me, like psychologically, spiritually, I lost so much confidence, but it showed me, one, what I needed to work on within. So that was an investment in clarity, which I
mhm,
needed. So I think that what I learned, that was an expensive thing to learn, but you don't have to lose that much in order to understand yourself. You can take the steps to understand, okay, maybe running isn't the best method for me to be fit. Maybe it's going on walks. Or, like you said, maybe I just need to show up to the gym like your client and I just need the accountability. I need someone present there with me. And that's going to put me in the energy that I need to be in as well. So I think that finding what you love, finding ways to get back to what brings you joy is a great first step. And then doing so in alignment with what feels good to you, not necessarily what someone else is recommending to you. So I love that you give your clients flexibility to customize what it is that they need for them. Because I think that, like I said, a lot of people get lost in have to do it this way, but it doesn't feel good to them. So then they end up doing nothing. Customizing your own path.
it's a lot easier for people to fall into the, let's say, excuse mode. But most of my clients are highly intelligent, highly educated, and they can justify anything, whether
Mm.
it's to do or to not to do.
Mhm.
And so sometimes
Yes.
I have to reel them in and say, look, I get it. You can give me all the amazing reasons why you didn't, why you shouldn't, why you can't. But what did you tell me you wanted to accomplish? Let's keep
Right.
that at the forefront. And I'm going to give you the tools to get there and get there in alignment of where your life is today. How do you want your culture in your household to go? How do you want your culture in your job to go? Where are you going to sleep? Let's find the sleep. I like to start with that. Where do you
That's
rest?
one of my favorite things to do. Yeah.
Me too. I love rest. Anybody who knows me, they call me Pacific Time Tosh, and I live on the East Coast.
Yes.
But it is important to find it. You have 168 hours in the week, but if you didn't plan your rest first, just so your mind can download and you can feel refreshed, then you can have time to think about flowers and other things like that. That is one of our most important pillars is to find your rest.
So how do you do that? Can you tell us about the pillars, and then can you walk us through a little bit of how you find your rest? Because I love the idea of starting with that. I've never thought about, okay, when am I going to rest? And then building my day around that or building my plan around that. And I love what you said about creating cultures in the different areas of your life. I love that. So tell us a little bit about the pillars and then how rest plays into that.
So, starting with rest as one of the main pillars, I like to literally look at how many hours in their day. What time do you need to wake up? Per your responsibilities, per whatever you said you want to accomplish, whether it's to make your smoothie in the morning. And then at the end of your day, just we skip all the way ahead. What time are you finished? Like actually
Mm,
finished. Before you scroll, before you watch your TV shows, before you read, what time are your responsibilities complete? And then I ask them how many hours do they feel rested? How many hours do you really think you need to feel rested? I need 8 to 9 hours. I feel
yes.
rested, right? And so within that 24 hours, I try to build all the other pillars around that. So let's just say we find where that rest is. Can we actually get it in a continuous span? A lot of men, they only need about 6 hours of sleep, but women, we need
Oh,
more
wow.
because
Yeah.
we multitask more. So we need more hours for recovery. It just is what it is.
Right.
And so from there, the next pillar I go to is nutrition. How much time in the 7 days does it take you to properly fuel yourself so that you have the energy and the mindset because you're not like, oh, I have to eat this. No, but what did you want to eat? Where did it come from? Was it organic? Did you make it? Did you grow it? Or did you
Right.
have some delivery person touch it? Did you have a lot of people touching your food throughout the week? Because that
Mm.
also matters energetically. Because who may have prepared
Mm.
your food may not have been energetically aligned. And if you do it every single day, then
Yes.
your body's going to feel it. You're going to take that in. So that nutrition portion is something we really have to figure out. Are you feeding yourself? Are you feeding a family? And
Mm.
why isn't your family also eating the nutritious things that you are? Are you leading the way to the wellness in your household, whether you're by yourself or with your mom or whoever? Sometimes we have to, once we have the tools, we have to lead the way.
Self leadership and then leadership for our community. And that's your family or whatever environment that you're in.
Exactly. I've seen you do it. You cook for your family, your mom,
Yes. Yes.
and
I
then
love it. I'm similar to you. Yeah. It's like relaxing for me. And then my mom actually reminded me you can't eat everybody's food and that energy is carried through that. So you have to be very careful
Mhm.
about what food you accept from other people for sure. But
Exactly.
I love cooking because it's like a meditation for me. It's like another form of art. It's creative. And I do feel so much better when I just make my own food.
Yes, same here. So that's what's carved out in my daily schedule. It's
Okay.
probably about 3 to 4 times a week, like clockwork, which
Nice.
fulfills me in multiple ways, but it is a pillar of wellness to know what's in your food. You can eat all kinds of things if you know what's in it. So then we go to our movement, and movement can be all kinds of versions of movement. I like to stretch in the kitchen while I'm cooking. Sometimes
Oh,
I'm like, well, okay,
yeah.
this ring, let's just stretch it out, move the hips, wake it up.
Yeah.
You've been sitting for hours with your clients. Now move your body. And so I take a look at their schedule and their lifestyle and say, where does it fit? Do you need to just roll out of bed onto the floor and do your core?
Right.
Can we commit to core? Can we just commit to 3 or 4
I love that.
exercises when you get out of bed? So I help them find that. Then, of course, it's mindset. I don't want them to feel punishment. I want them to feel vitality and longevity and have something that they can do consistently for a
Right.
long time. And it doesn't have to change. Some people are like, oh, I got a box today, I got a CrossFit tomorrow. But at some point, you have to figure out, but what can I do until I'm 80? The bare
Right.
minimum of movement that I can do on a regular basis until the end of times. I'm not in Sardinia going up steps, eating sourdough bread in the blue zone.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Until we get there, we make it do what we can do in our suburbs. And so mindset is a big one. And that's the one that takes time. You can't put a time on your healing. You can't put a time on people have these goals and they want to jump into these quick fixes, but that doesn't give them consistency and longevity because usually the quick fix you can't do for long periods of time. You can't consistently maintain that. And so you
Yeah.
end up in that, you've heard of yo-yo effect. And that messes up other things like your hormones and your metabolism. So we really try to figure out customly what in your mindset, what can you really commit to? And let's just
Right.
show up as often as possible.
Absolutely. And that is something that's not a topic we're going to super dive into today, but something that I am passionate about is ethical marketing and
Mhm.
not consuming quick fixes. There's a lot of marketing out there that will tell you, okay, just do this in 30 days or do this in 10 days. And it can be a great way to kickstart, but to market it as a long term solution, there's so many vulnerable people who are just seeking help, invest in that, they get disappointed and they stay on these loops. And it's really, I find it unethical because the business benefits, the people that understand what's happening and that this is a jumpstart benefit as well. But for those people who maybe are looking for the accountability or they really want to make a commitment to a life change, they go into this thinking that it's true, that it's really going to get them this result. And then that's just going to be it. And I loved a post that I think you posted it last week, but you said a spoiler alert, just doing abs isn't enough or something like that. And I saw that
Mhm.
and I was like, because I used to think that for the longest time, okay, I'm just doing sit-ups isn't
Mhm.
going to get you there. And I probably spent like years trying to do like sit-ups or, okay, this is enough. And this is going to get me the tummy that I want and all of these things. And it was through tons of research that most people aren't going to take the time to do to realize, hey, this isn't true. But there was more information out there about that being a truth. And so I love that you're very ethical with what you share with your clients and your audience. And you show them the truth and the realities of, hey, this is a commitment to yourself. And it is something that you're going to be committed to long term. It's not just a quick fix. Because I think we need to understand that more. And anything that we do, that the world that we live in that's all about fast results is not healthy for us. It's not good. It can help you start something, but it's not really there for you long term.
Yeah, a lot of the marketing that's out there now, they market to our insecurities on purpose.
Yes.
What they do, whether there's even wellness trends, but it's still marketing to people's insecurities as opposed to building them up and giving them education and giving them
Right.
the truth, which is one of HLS's missions, visions, is to keep that level of integrity for what we share. Because it should
Right.
be usable, it should be shareable, and it should be honest. And I would
Right.
it's honest to say just do abs and you get abs. That's 99% of the people, that's not reality. You have to get in the kitchen. That's the first step. If you're not nutritionally sound and you're not nourishing your body and you're not resting, there's no amount of crunches that's going to get the job done. And
Exactly.
there's other things that will give you vitality. Posture really changes based on your pelvis. So even if you did a crunch, your pelvis may be tilted the other way. So it will give you the
Right.
appearance of a crunch anyway. You're making it worse. So it is starting from the foundation, which is what we like to do is say, let's look at your alignment, like your actual alignment. Which
Mm-hmm.
direction is Tiffany's pelvis going? Is it tilted forward? Is it tilted back?
Mm.
Then that lets me know, oh, actually, it's not her abdominals, it's her glutes. We need to activate the glutes. The glutes will
The
give that flat tummy look that she's looking for because her body type is different.
cheat codes.
Yeah.
Cheat codes, looking at the detail and really looking at things holistically and not just spot training, which we know is not a thing. And I think that ties into you as a person holistically as well. And it really helps you to shift your mindset around adopting a belief that I need to incorporate all parts of me at all times in order to have true alignment. So whether it's fitness, looking at all parts of your body and how they work together, It's the same thing on your alignment journey, looking at your mind, your body, and your spirit. We often, so many times, because we're trained and conditioned this way, to
Mhm.
focus on the outcome, the result, the awards, the money, the status, all of these things. And then we may neglect our spirit, we may neglect parts of our mind or even our body. So, in all areas of life, taking a holistic approach and remembering there are more parts of you that contribute to the whole of who you are is really, I think, important to success, not materially, but also spiritually and physically. So you talk about radical self-respect, which I love. I don't think I've ever even heard that term, those two words together, radical self-respect, until you mentioned it. And I was like, ooh, I like this.
Mhm.
So, what does that mean in a world that often doesn't really respect the body or spirit? I think we're moving into a time where more and more people are waking up and they are realizing, hey, I don't feel so good and I want to make a change. So, to you, when you talk about radical self respect, what does that mean to you, especially now?
Boundaries. To have my own personal boundaries of what wellness and wholeness means to me, and not letting the outside noise take me out of that, because I want to lead my way to my longevity and my goals. And it started with leaving dance and leaving the perfectionism behind, and having respect for myself to say, no, there's other ways to fulfill my success bucket, or to fulfill what I was put here to do. I think when it comes to even just what you put in your body, do you have respect for what's nourishing your body, what's giving you energy? Or are you just consuming anything because you didn't make time, you don't have time? Who touched your food? Have some respect for where it came from, and whose
Right.
hands prepared it. I mean, some of us pray over our food, but we don't think about that part. So just having some respect in that regard. And it is radical. Sometimes people think
Right.
like, oh, well, you don't want to have someone touch your food. And like, I would at least know
Really?
who touched it. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with having that respect to say, yes, I do have standards that I like to live by. And you may not prefer them, but it's not for you to prefer. And that can be seen as radical, because we're conditioned, especially as women, to conform or go along, get along. But in this
Yes.
regard, some of us should be leading the way and showing people that there are other ways to be healthy, and really give your body, your mind, and your journey the respect that is due.
So, boundaries and standards, which do you think comes first between the two? Or does it matter between boundaries and standards? With someone, as if they're looking to incorporate this in their life, would you say get your standards clear and then set boundaries around them? Or would you say set your boundaries first? What would that step look like? What would that process look like?
So I think that's where the coaching comes along. First, we have to figure out what your standards are, because most people don't, they never thought about it. What are my
Right.
standards? What is my standard of living? What is my standard of health? And sometimes I have to show the mirror, like, okay, so you see, this is where your standards are right now, and they're on the
Right.
lower. Let's decide some. Let's decide that in your standard day, you drink half your body weight in water. So then you can add your boundary. No, I'm not drinking wine because I haven't hit my water. So I think first you have to figure out what you want your standard to be before you can create a boundary around it, because you don't know yet. And I don't think
Right.
that it happens overnight, because you may realize you have some standards and you have to keep adding to those standards. It's not, oh, there's one standard. Sometimes it just
Right.
needs to be a little bit malleable, a little bit adjusted here and there. And then
Mhm.
to have the boundaries to put yourself in the right environments with the right people, so that your standards are energetically aligned.
Ooh, yes, yes. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, your environment and the people that you're around? I know you live in a city that's larger and there can be so many energies that we encounter. So, how do you protect yourself energetically, especially in a space where there may be people that aren't as healthy around? How do you really I know that you've done the work already to have the mindset and the boundaries and the standards, but for someone that's new to that, and they're in a space where maybe people are like, hey, just come on, let's get some more drinks, or let's do this, let's go out to eat, let's do all the things. What do you recommend for that person to really be able to stand in their truth and set that boundary while still enjoying community around them?
I think the first step is recognizing the people that you are spending the most time with. I do think that is really important to your self growth because
Right.
if you're putting your self growth on a pedestal and you are being radical about your self respect, are the people you with, are they constantly having conversations about augmentations and what's wrong with you and what needs to be fixed? Or are the conversations,
Right.
whether over a drink or not, are they about your self growth and your alignment and how, yes, I too would like to drink less, or I too would like to
Right.
start implementing these things. Let's implement together. Let's go for a
Right.
walk together and just be very self aware of our patterns and cycles. Are we trauma bonding with people who aren't ready to make that move forward? And do you need to lead the way? Or do you just need to exit
Mm,
stage left and maybe those people were for a season? But now it's time to stop looking at yourself as new. I need to fix my tummy or my glutes or whatever. But what is really going to give me longevity and vitality and true self love? Are
right.
they feeding that? Or are they also still feeding your algorithm of not good enough? Or
Right.
self-medicating through other substances that when they're not in your system anymore, you feel low. Your rest is now impeded, and some of your original things that you're working on, rest and water, are now being compromised. And I think it's okay to stay in it, but you may have to be the leader. I tell some of my
Right.
friends, yeah, you go out all the time. Tell them what restaurant you should go to so that you can choose something at the restaurant that can nourish you, and they also too have healthy options.
I
Don't let
love
them just
that.
cook all the time because that's easy. Oh, she playing it. I went. It was a bit. You can insert yourself if you happen to be the subject matter expert in your crew.
So, discernment is what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
and really paying attention to what's happening around you, not just with your eyes, but also energetically. And I think that that is a skill that is developed over time, but it also ties into having standards for yourself. I know a lot of times when you hear the word standards, you think about, I think some people see that through the lens of luxury. It has to be luxury if I have high standards, or it has to be something that's out of reach. But no, like you said, it can be making sure that you're getting enough water for the day and having radical self respect for yourself and saying, okay, I like this environment, but this is what I need to make sure that I'm functioning well. So it goes back to really tuning within and making sure that you are self focused. You don't have to be selfish, but sometimes that's okay too. You
Mhm,
can be selfish if you need to be for
mhm,
yourself. And I think that goes back to the radical self respect piece as well. Of I am allowed to be selfish if it is going to benefit me and make sure that I'm healthy in the way that I need to be. You don't have to hurt anyone to do that. We don't ever want to do that. But sometimes you have to be a little selfish to make sure that you're well. And I feel women, especially, we've been conditioned to think that being selfish is a bad thing all the time, that we
mhm,
should be nice, make other people, especially I'm from the South. I know you have family in the South too. They very much have this belief that you should make other people comfortable first and sacrifice some of your own. I think that we're moving into a time where we're realizing that is not really healthy, that we've been taught to perform or function in a way that really doesn't benefit us. So, having discernment that's happening and really being aware, because when you condition to believe something, you are going with what you've always known to be true. You don't necessarily even realize what's happening. And I know I've experienced that too. I'm like, okay, I didn't even realize how this is impacting me because I'm just so used to showing up this way. And
mhm,
so having that self respect, the discernment to be like, wait a minute, this doesn't actually feel good. And then trusting yourself to be able to do what's best for you. So, how do you support people in returning home to themselves, especially when they're tired? Maybe they're stuck or they're unsure of themselves. Maybe it's going back to the rest. Tell me a little bit about that. How do you support people in returning back to themselves?
I think one of the things I do is I try to teach them to get back to their authenticity and to do it a little bit audaciously. Like, what do you really want to do with your life?
Right.
What do you really want to accomplish? Whether it's familial, whether it's your job, whether it's just your day to day. What in a few years, what do you want that picture to feel like? Not just look like, what do you want it to feel like? And then bring them back to how they feel today and how they can move in a more aligned version of their self to make sure that they give themselves space to be who they are today, but to grow, to keep growing, to keep feeding their soul, to keep feeding themselves energetically, to keep feeding themselves nutrition food, obviously, but to make sure that it is authentic and that you're
Right.
not trying to copy the old you. You're not trying to copy someone else you saw on TikTok, that you are truly who you are today and where you want to be. I've had clients in they're turning 50 or they're turning 51, and 2 years later, you're like, oh my gosh, you're literally a different person than you were 2 years ago. Just from giving yourself a little audaciousness, a little authenticity, sometimes a little less give to others, and to be with yourself, not by yourself. It's okay to be with yourself
Yes.
and really take it in and really say, okay, if I use my brain and I critical think, like you said, it just doesn't feel good. So when you're
Yep.
authentic, it's hard not to feel good when you're being authentic because there are no boundaries. So to start with the no boundaries first, let's figure out you, regardless of what you saw. If I told you this, because like I said before, we're being marketed all day, all day. We kind of have to
Constantly.
strip it away. Don't I always say, if you sign up with me, don't worry what they said. Don't listen to them.
Right.
Or they said this, they said that, which happens often. And that takes discipline and programming. Because your girlfriend's going
Right.
to talk about it in breath, what they heard. You saw it on TV, Weight Watchers. You heard Oprah did this. And it's just like, before you know it,
Yes.
you don't know. You're in the matrix. So I try to bring them out of the matrix and back to
Yes.
today is where we are. This is what you need based on what you said you want to accomplish.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So staying centered with yourself, which is, like you said, it could be really challenging because there are so many distractions happening, so many different bugs in your ear, if you will. And like you said, coming out of that matrix of all the things that are happening around you, you have to stay really centered and grounded. I know that you spoke about movement, nutrition, all the pillars really go into that, making sure that you are staying grounded within and staying centered energetically, especially when you're tired, because it can be so easy. I know one of my guilty pleasures is I gave up TikTok for Lent, but
Okay.
the second that was over, I was like, yes, but it's not hitting the same anymore because I've done the detox. So
Mhm.
now it's okay. I can more clearly see that this is not really nourishing me in the way that I believed it was previously. It was just more so a distraction. It takes a lot of discipline. I know that as I'm currently on my quote unquote sabbatical, semi sabbatical, I will say, because obviously I'm still working, but I'm out in the woods and I feel such a big difference. Even just detoxing from the environment that I was in before is just giving me so much more clarity about ways where I wasn't having radical self respect. I wasn't having that discipline in my environment or the types of things that I was letting impact my mind. And this is what I do for a living. So that just shows you really how disciplined you have to be in keeping your mind, body, and your spirit aligned. And even when you do it as a practice, your environment can really start infiltrating your energy subconsciously. You may not even know that it's happening, but your body always knows the difference. I know The Body Keeps Score is a book that many of us have heard of. I haven't fully read it. I actually don't know anyone who's gotten through the whole book because it's very intense.
It went to
But
One of the
and
longest books
like,
I've ever read, that one.
yeah, same, same. I was like, oh, this is a lot. So I get the concept though, which is our body really stores energy and it
Mhm.
can give us brain fog. Even I know nutritionally, eating the wrong foods, having certain energies in your body from food can cause your brain to not function the same way. And you can have this cloudiness about you with just, it's a ripple effect into every area of your life. So I know that movement is something that I really can't live without. And I notice a difference, even if I just do some stretching. Sometimes I'll just start crying after stretching for a bit. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm crying. I don't feel sad right now, but it's stored energy in my body that's been maybe in my hips or in my shoulders. I know if I'm around negative energy or somebody that I don't need to be around, immediately this left shoulder, it just starts throbbing. So,
Oh,
yes, I have that connection with my body now. Cause at first I was like, what is this? And then I started paying attention. I'm like, okay, what is it that's happening? So if I'm in an environment where it's just not aligned with me, or like I said, I'm speaking to someone where I'm like, I don't think this energy is for me, my body
yeah.
will start telling me. So I think it's really cool when you start tapping into what's happening with you on an energetic level to know, okay, this isn't necessarily for me. How do you help people feel safe in their bodies? So for people that maybe are on this journey and they don't necessarily feel safe to even be in their body to connect with it, because that's a process too. What do you recommend, or how do you help people that see movement as medicine in a way, a healing tool? Because it can be.
So the first step I do is to take a look at what dosage do they actually need of the said medicine. Where and when did they feel the best in their body? Because usually
Mm,
people have a timeline. Oh, and they look back, they're like, oh, I thought I was big then, and I would love to be that again. And I go, if you were before, technically your body could do it again. And that say they want a six pack, and I'm like, okay, when's the last time you had a six pack? And if they go, never, I go, okay, we got a lot of work to do to get to through the never. Yeah.
right,
But everyone needs a different dosage of movement. And what you need now in your 30s is not what you need in your 50s. If you're premenopausal or postmenopausal, everyone needs a different dosage of movement. And though I say, let's figure out, when did you ever feel good in your body? And if the answer is you never felt good, then some of that is some mindset work we have to work through. Like, why?
right,
Why did we not feel good? Did you not get a chance to explore? Did you not get to try moving your hips? I've never caught a ball ever. I've never played any sports, but some people are very in tune like that. But a lot of people don't have body awareness at all,
right,
whether it's in space with other people or in their own. So it's bringing them back to that, like being aware that you have that kink, being aware
right,
that your knees hurt, but you never actually had a knee injury. That could be just a knot. We need to foam roll out every day. You just need to foam roll it.
right,
You sit for 8 hours, so your hips are tight. So I try to give it more on the scientific level to start off to bring them back to their bodies and to feel safe because we were moving with functionality and not through just aesthetics. It's going
right.
to make you functional. What aches you? What ails you? Do we need to change your pillows? I try to think of the things
Yes,
like you're stretching. If it's bringing emotion, maybe that's your time that you're connecting to spirit. Who knows? But let's talk
yep,
about it and let's figure out, do we want that to be a regular thing? Did you enjoy that feeling? Some people may enjoy that, but really understanding from a basic functional level what's going to keep you well and vital
right.
for a long time. And posture is part of it. Did you wake up and roll your neck and stretch your shoulders?
No, I need to though. My neck just cracked when I did that.
You right?
Just looking back.
It's
So,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah. That's an easy way to think ahead. When she wakes up, she does her head roll. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That feels so nice.
Exactly. So that's what our mindful motion program is. We teach the
Okay.
things that you don't need anything. You need to push your desk away, push your chair away. You can do it right there. Simple, simple,
Yeah, I
but
have chills now because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can feel that
it
there's just like
released.
tension there. Yeah, and I probably need new pillows.
And you probably need the basics, the things you're like, okay, that didn't take long to implement, but thinking a little bit outside of the box to make them feel safe. Because once again, it is custom, and you do have to do a little bit of self reflection of where that
Right.
has come from in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a practice because I have an ability to leave my body if I need to. That's just from my experiences of not feeling safe or learning how to escape my body mentally. I didn't wasn't doing it consciously, but that is a trauma response that I think a lot of people have and they don't even realize, especially women. And
Mhm.
so it's been an ongoing practice to one realize that I'm sure my shoulder was signaling to me way before I noticed it. And even when I met you, when I think we were somewhere dancing, and
Mhm.
I was like, I want you to teach me how to tap into all parts of my body. Cause I started noticing I would literally be looking for something. Let's say I had this pin in my left hand. I'm looking for the pin. I couldn't even feel that I was holding it. So I
Uh-huh.
was disconnected from the left side of my body. There's nothing, medically wrong there. That was just, I mean, if you go deeper into energy as I've studied it, your left side can represent your femininity, your right side can represent more of your masculine energy. And so there was a part of me that was disconnected from myself as a woman, and it was showing up in even something as simple as dancing. I'm like, okay, I've got the rhythm and the movement on this side, but it's like
This
everything's happening on the right. Yeah, and
yeah.
I write with my right hand, all of these things. But it's really fascinating to me when I start looking at energy that way and you start really feeling safe in your body little by little. I will say, as someone who hasn't always felt safe in their body, it's too much to feel safe fully in my body all at once. It's been a gradual process, almost from the head down of, okay, we're going to start realizing what's happening here. Let's start
Mhm.
with the arms and then we get to the bottom. And I can't say that I've gotten to 100% in all parts of my body yet, but that goes back to what we said earlier. It's like, it's a process, just
Mhm.
little by little. Just start with one step. You don't have to do it all the time. And movement is something that, because you have to be body aware to exercise and safely, you have to
Mhm.
understand what's happening with your body and you have that whole connection there. We're nearing the end of our lovely conversation today. And before we close out, I would love to hear your thoughts on what's one practice that really keeps you grounded right now and something that you've had to let go of to make space for alignment.
One of my grounding practices is a morning prayer presently, and when I do it with movement, so
Mm,
that I'm opening up for the day, doing my circles. But I find that if I do that to start my day with, and I drink some water, it's part of my ritual,
yeah,
is it really sets the tone to say, okay, my body is awake. I am in my body. My body is safe. I have
right.
gratitude. I have gratitude for what my body is capable of and not what it looks like. So I don't start my day with aesthetics, which that keeps me very grounded.
Smart.
And it's something that I can do it anywhere. I can do it on vacation. I can do it in my home. I have a corner that I use every day.
I
And
love that.
it's a really makes me feel like home, and it feels like something that I can do for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. I love that. So, we're going to do a quick recap of everything we spoke about today.
Okay.
I think what stood out really was returning to self, that alignment is not something that you earn, it's something that you return to. It's always
Mhm.
within you, and that it's a process, whether you're aligning your life and your business with your energy or you're aligning your mind, body, and spirit with your wellness practice. It really all goes back to your mind. It goes back to what's happening, what your beliefs are, and respecting yourself enough to set the standards, to have discernment about what's going to be healthy for you, what's not. And it goes beyond just the food, it's spiritual, it's
Mhm.
your environment, it's energetic, and really paying attention to yourself, what's happening in your mind, your body, and your spirit. So, if people want to work with you, Tasha, how can they find you? And what's the best way for them to work with you if they want to get started?
Yeah, so we're on all the platforms: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We do have a link. You can schedule a journey call if you want questions, you want something custom. We also have a mindful motion 7 days free that you can download if you go to the link in our bio. So you can
Ah,
start rolling your shoulders and your neck and get things moving. So we do like to bring you in and start you at the foundation. So you can
yeah.
reach us there. You can also email me at tasha@hoscollective.com. So very easy to find.
Yay! Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today on our very first Alignment Recess Live. It's been so lovely speaking with you. For everyone that's watching, if especially if you were in the Alignment Recess community, there will be a replay available on the Alignment Recess page. We'll also have show notes, transcript available, and ways to get in touch with Tasha. And if you're interested in any of her programs or working with her directly, all of that information will be available as well. Thank you so much for joining. And we will see you next Wednesday for our next guest. Stay tuned for what's up next. And in the meantime, stay aligned.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.